In today's video, I want to talk about two of the most important aspects of owning a holding company, because if you want to be a owner of a holding company and be successful in your holding company ownership, you have to understand the structure of a holding company and you have to understand the strategy for the holding company. So let's get to both of these. When it comes to the structure of the holding company, what does that mean? Well, it's just simple as you getting an EIN for the name of your LLC with the IRS, which is free. It's also a matter of you just going to your Secretary of State, wherever you live, and setting up your LLC. In most states, like here in Georgia, it's only $100 for you to do it. Now, of course, if you've never done it before, it's like me giving you a fishing pole saying go and catch a fish. It's not always that easy. So if you need help with that, my team and I were always available. We do provide corporate services, but we have courses showing you how to actually take the rod and reel, put bait on the rod and reel, on the hook rather, and go fishing. So it's just up to you. If you're either going to do it yourself and figure it out, or you're going to pay someone to do it, or you're going to just take courses and learn so that you could go do it the right way. It's all up to you. But with that being said, structuring a holding company is really commonplace in today's world because a lot of people know how to set up LLCs. They know how to get their EIN. They know how to draft an operating agreement. You can download a free operating agreement and put in the operating agreement that this LLC that you just set up is a holding company. But this is where 99.9% of holding company owners stop because they understand structure, but they don't understand strategy. Once you've structured your holding company, you got to learn strategy. Otherwise, you're going to just have a shell company. You're going to have this LLC that you call a holding company that holds nothing but good ideas, and it's dead because it's not producing any revenue for you. It doesn't have any enterprise value. It's just a dead LLC, or as I like to say, it's a good idea you have on paper, okay? So what is the strategy part of your holding company? The strategy part is about you understanding how to use this LLC that you now have structured. And the best way to use this LLC that you now have structured as a holding company is to learn the ins and outs of identifying with what an asset is. Okay? You might have personal assets, you might have business assets in another operating business. Whatever those assets are, you have to learn how to identify with them. And then once you identify with them, you have to start accumulating them if they're within your ecosystem. If they're not within your ecosystem, the way you accumulate assets is by acquiring assets, by structuring deals, whether it's intellectual assets, physical assets, or a combination of both. You want to identify with assets. You want to start accumulating them and or acquiring them and transferring the ownership of them to your holding company. It's kind of like how a trust works when you set up a trust. The trust has to be funded. Well, your holding company needs assets to hold so that it can be legitimized as a holding company, if that makes sense. So what I want to do is I want to give you access to a free resource. It's an ebook that I put together, less than 20 pages, but it's full of information on not just how to properly structure your holding company from filing and forming your paperwork, drafting your operating agreement, but it also helps you understand the details of managing the day-to-day operations of a holding company and the multiple entities that it will own and hold. But most importantly, in this free ebook, I give you a list of almost 30 assets that you need to start identifying and familiarizing yourself with so that you can begin the process of accumulating these assets and or acquiring these assets and then transferring the ownership of them to your holding company. Now, some of these assets needs to be transferred directly. Like if you have an intellectual asset of an IP or that's intellectual property, or a trademark. Maybe it can be directly owned by your holding company, or copyright. But if it's a physical asset like a piece of real estate, or a piece of real estate, or a piece of equipment, you may not want it to be owned directly by your holding company. You may want it to be owned indirectly through another LLC that your holding company owns. But all of this information is in this free ebook. All you have to do is click the link, complete the information form. You get access to download it. And there's also contact information inside of that ebook, so that if you have any questions, need some direction on the ins and outs of how to navigate through this transition and or transaction of starting, structuring your own holding company, my team and I, we are available. We can jump on a strategy call at any point to give you information, direction, and help you along the way. I'll see you in the next video.